Okay, as part of our students becoming Bar Mitzvah in our program, we asked them to write a speech, and Adam spent a lot of time writing and practicing this wonderful, wonderful speech, and we're very proud of him for it. So we're going to hear in just a few minutes about some of the values that he finds very important to him as a Jew. And there are so many values from which he could have chosen, but you're going to hear in just a few minutes which ones he chose. So this is a really personal speech. So before he comes up here, I just want to briefly talk about some of the things that we learn in the shula and the things that you'll hear here today. So we asked Adam to think about two different Jewish traditions, two different Jewish values that he really feels that are important to him. And you're going to hear that he has chosen tradition and remembrance. And tradition is so important to us in Judaism because it really guides us as people. It's not just a religion, but we're a people with a background and a common heritage. So all the things we do are important to us. All the rituals that we have, the ceremony today, the holidays that we observe are important to us. Every week in the Torah, we read a little piece of our traditions and our laws, and we happen to be right now in a book of the Torah that goes through a majority of the things, the commandments, the mitzvahs that we are supposed to do. So for instance, you're going to hear about tradition in a few minutes and remembrance. Today's Torah portion, this week's Torah portion, or Parsha, is all about being pure and about being holy and the things we can do to ourselves to make ourselves like that. So one of the interesting things that we hear about, that we learn about in this week's Torah portion, is the laws of kashrus, of kosher laws. So we hear about all of these things that we can and can't eat. So an animal, a mammal that we eat has to have split hooves and chew its cud, and it has to be slaughtered in a humane way. Okay? And the fish that we eat have to have fins and scales. And the birds that we eat can't be like vultures or other types of predatory birds. And the Torah doesn't really give an exact reason for all of the types of animals we can and can't eat, except that if you eat these foods, you'll be a pure, holy person. And that goes along with our tradition. So we may think that, well, it has to do with, with health, and it may have to do, just with something that, God commands us. But interestingly enough, when we read the Torah, we also read interpretations. We read different people's takes on things. So what we study from this is actually, it's not all about health and it's not all about the religious aspect, but also about being a person who can resist temptation. And also being a person with a strong identity. And so when we hear in a few minutes about tradition and remembrance, we can relate that to this week's Torah portion, because we are taught that by eating certain foods or not eating certain foods, we have a connection to our tradition. We are remembering our heritage and our people. And we're making ourselves as a people holier and purer people by keeping to the traditions that we have. So sometimes we don't have an explanation for why we do things, just like Tevye and Fiddler on the Roof, right? We do it because it's tradition, and the book says to do it, right? So, okay, great. So we're going to hear from the chairs. Perfect, no problem. Here's the book. Okay? So again, we're very, very proud of him. We spent so much time rehearsing this, and we are very glad to hear it.